Well, it's August 23rd. Call the housing meeting committee meeting to order here at 5:32. We'll get through a couple of our standard agenda items here. Approval of the July 26th meeting minutes. Are there any changes, adjustments to the minutes from our last meeting?
Nope.
All right. Well, we'll accept the minutes as they're written. Today's agenda. So I sent out the agenda, and I believe it was posted online as well. But are there any adjustments to the agenda? And there's no members of the public here, so no additional comments from the public.
Looks good.
All righty. Well, we can jump right into the housing committee charge and goals, and I can pull that up if that works, or if somebody else would like to.
Let me get the screen shared for you.
Okay.
There you go.
I know I'm now in my home office, so I have a little bit better internet connection, and I have a bigger screen. So let's see.
Fantastic.
Right, let's see, we're in Zoom today. All right, great. So this is the draft that we have with the markups. Can everyone see that? See the screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I think we've all had a chance to look at this. There were a couple quick edits that I think I had made these ones in the red here just to make it read a little bit better, I think.
Yep.
Was that
Looks good.
S100, and then I think the only other big thing is that it said develop legible and effective affordable housing density bonus regulations, developing affordable housing regulations with possible inclusion of density bonus. So I think it says the same thing twice.
Oh, yeah.
So we just crossed all that other part out in collaboration with Selectboard. So I don't think it changed anything.
Yeah,
but
good.
That works.
Looks good.
The last thing, and I don't know if this has been included in other charges for other committees, but like, do we want to put in like what the roles and responsibility of the chair or committee clerk is in this, or is that not really needed here because duties are pretty much the same? Or
is it already defined by town policy anywhere, or does every committee do this?
Yeah, I guess that's the question, is like, is there a town, like, hey, this is what the chair does for any committee that's part of in the Richmond, town of Richmond kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's basically how you want to set this up. To be honest with you, there's pretty wide latitude in that regard.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't say that I've seen it language in any other committee, but I haven't looked at a lot of different charters, committee charges. I don't think the select board set it up. You know, they didn't require anything in particular. So if we want to put something in, I think that's fine.
Okay.
I mean, what do you think, Mark? Do you want to have something in there, or do you want to wing it and do it as we go along? You know, I mean, I would say in general, what the chair would do would be to set the agenda, to run the meetings, and to sign any kind of official documents. Those are the basic things, and then other things as needed. And then the clerk would do the minutes and
minutes, attendance.
Yeah, attendance would be great. Attendance, maybe manage correspondence, which could be anything. It could be sending it to somebody else, or
Yep, That's good.
So those seem like they would be the basic things. You could put the chair would interface with the select board and the zoning and planning department officially, but obviously we're all doing that. So I don't know if that really matters. I think if the chair is responsible for signing off on any official documents, that kind of takes care of that.
I mean, you are setting up policies and procedures that you don't typically have, and, you know, the next people that come in on this committee, you know, will have that ready to go. I mean, so that's definitely not a negative.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's helpful. I have not chaired a town committee before, so I'll have to say I didn't know necessarily what I was getting into or what my role was. So I think that could be helpful for future folks to have. Okay. Well, I took a few quick notes. I'm happy to kind of just flesh that out a little bit more and make it into a complete sentence.
Yeah, and I don't think that needs approval from the select board or anything along those lines. This is an internal document.
Okay.
And I don't think there's anything there that they're going to find that controversial that they would have a problem with.
Okay.
Because we adopted most of the original goals are in this document, the original goals that were in the original agreement for the housing committee. So.
Let me back up on that.
Okay. So, Virginia, I think your changes were here in the blue. You know, when I read through, I was fine with the changes. I mean, I think for the most part, these are realistic items to work on in, you know, 23, 24 here for this year.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to put anything too ambitious in there in case we
Yeah.
don't get any more members, you know. I mean, at least we can give ourselves something to do that we could actually do. So,
Well, I think this also helps me map out like what are we needing to add to our agendas in the next series of meetings, right? Like what is it, you know, we can flesh out a little bit more like what does it really mean to what are those activities we're going to take to understand Act 47 S1 right
yeah.
Which aren't spelled out here, but I think we can provide some more detail as to what that would be. Okay. Connie, were there any other, I don't know if you had a chance to look at all the edits and changes or if we want to walk through them now.
I saw them when they went out to when they went out to you, and what you've added makes sense to me, so I'm good.
Yep, I'm good with it. And you know, we could put in those few pieces about the chair and the clerk, and then looks good. I mean, I'm willing to vote to accept it at this moment if you want a motion.
Sure. Do we have a motion to accept the housing committee charge for the 23-24 fiscal year, I guess 24 fiscal year here?
Well, it's the updated version of the charge because it does have all those long-term goals as well. So I would make a motion that the committee accept the Richmond Housing Committee charge in its updated form as of July 26, 2023, or whatever date you want to put on it.
So second,
and I agree too.
Okay, makes it unanimous. Woohoo!
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so Mark, you're going to put in those few lines about the duties, right?
Yep, I'll put in a few lines about the duties. I can share that back out, and then you know, I don't see that really substantially changing what we've accepted here tonight.
No.
In any way. So And then I'll clean up the track changes so there's not blue and red everywhere.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then you could get it to the select board, I guess, don't you think, Keith? We should be,
I have that
well,
as a, yeah, I have that as an item here to research that, and then eventually it's gonna have to be posted on the homepage. So, yeah, I'll get back on that. I have that down here. And I should be able to get that pretty quick and answer for that pretty quickly.
and, I mean, if we're going to go to the select board with the other paper, the research paper, we could add this to our list of things that we're going to tell them, that we have updated our housing committee charge, and here's the new version that we've agreed on. I would think.
Yeah, if they have the bandwidth for it. But that's something I could run through Josh, but yep, let's get the docs done and we'll figure it out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like the idea of packaging.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much there to read, and it's not much different a little bit different from what it was before, but there's nothing revolutionary in it. So, I can't see them wanting to discuss it or anything, but they will at least have it and be able to go from there.
I'll stop sharing. All right, so the next is on the agenda here is ideas for membership recruitment. So now that we have a charge, and once we get it cleaned up, I think one of the ideas is, at least for me, is to like post it on Front Porch Forum with, here are some things that we want to accomplish this year, right? It's a little bit more tangible, kind of like this is what we're working on. We have a document to refer people to look at. But open to other ideas. And I don't know if we want to do maybe something similar to how we ran the campaign last year around the changes to the zoning districts, right? Where we had a couple of us post a little bit more in our own voice, like why we're here, or so we get it from different angles and from different people, and there's kind of some multiple messaging there. I don't know if others have ideas on how we further get attendance. I've talked with some people about it. They're like, maybe if I have some time. No, I'm not interested. Kinds of responses, right?
So
Yeah.
about that.
What, you got bugs there?
Just flew across.
Oh, okay. I don't know. This is it's a tough nut to crack. How to get more members, how to get people interested. I mean, what is it about this that is going to interest people? Who is going to be interested? Who would like to do this? I don't know if Gina is still interested, or who was the other person who was interested? There was one other woman who was interested.
Yeah, and you had seen the emails, the ones that you were on the emails you just accessed. I believe there was one person there, Lisa, or yeah, I don't want to.
Something, yeah. Maybe we could get one of those little posts that you were suggesting, Mark, that we could each do one, and maybe we could get someone on the select board to write one.
Oh, yeah.
Like Bard, who's been interested, he's been a main driving force for the affordable housing, so maybe he'd be willing to share his perspective on why people should be interested, and I don't know.
I found so far that I'm more successful, I think, when I identify someone who might have an interest and I appeal to them directly. It's that everybody, somebody, anybody, nobody, thing that people sometimes say, if everybody's busy, or everybody who cares is busy, for sure. And I'm sure there are people who are busy beyond that. So when I look at like back in March, we had like a whole host of people from Brown's Court. Um, that was the March 9th meeting. And there were other meetings there, different people showed up. So in addition to checking in with Gina Prater, who looked really interested, a couple meetings ago when she last attended, it would be reasonable to say to someone from Brown's Court, you're interested in this kind of issue. Could you join us and have Brown's Court be, represented on the or Esplanade, or when you think of the neighborhoods in the town, both inside the village and outside the village, and I speak for one, community that's outside the village. I think the return is better, because even if you don't get the person to say yes, then you snowball it and say, well, help me think of a couple of other people in your community who might be interested. And then they get to pass the buck on, and you get to try somebody else. But the personal appeal where it's like, well, someone else is going to do that. You just can't dodge down that alley when someone is saying, I think you would be really helpful to this committee, and I think it's interesting to you, or I've noticed that you might be interested. We used to have someone from Border Street, and that was great too, to have that perspective represented. It's about housing. It's good to be geographically dispersed, not just random. So.
Yeah, well, it's just identifying those people that you're going to personally approach who have an interest. I mean, when I think of like the people who came to the Browns Court discussion, they were all people who were against housing there, basically. So whether they're actually interested in housing or whether they're just interested in preserving their neighborhood, it sort of reminds me of when the Conservation Commission was started. It was, the membership was all people who wanted to prevent it from doing anything. Like they wanted to prevent it from preserving any land. Those were the people who joined the Conservation Commission in the beginning. So I kind of don't want that.
Well, we would take whoever, I mean, we're not screening people, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you for saying that and recording it. Like, we're good.
Yeah.
So going back to February, Gina was back there in February, but Rachel Ohaya, who's on Borden Street, I now see in my notes, was there as a potential future committee member. So I'm willing to get in touch with Rachel Ohaya. I think I know who she is. And Mark, do you want to maybe talk to Gina or somebody else?
Yeah, I can reach out to Gina and see see if she's interested.
Okay. Then
the only people that I can think of that I could maybe ask who they knew are the two people that I know who work in this field. So Molly Dugan and Miranda Lascazzi, who both work for the large nonprofits, one for Cathedral Square and the other one for Champlain Housing. So, I mean, I could talk to them and see if they have anyone in their circle of friends or acquaintances who might be, I know that I would love for them to be on this committee. They're people who should be on this committee, but they're busy, they're too busy. And it would be like doing what they do in their day job for their hobby or whatever, for their commitment to the town, doing the same thing, which is not always what people want to do. They want to do something different for their other work. So, but I could talk to them and see if they know of anybody who might. I don't seem to know anybody who wants more housing here. Mostly the people that I've had express a housing interest are like, we don't want any more housing. So Anyway. But the
Oh,
posts are good, I think. I mean, we could certainly do the posts. I could look for an angle, you know, maybe we could each find an angle that we wanted to. I could talk to regional planning and see if they have any angles that they find are effective in their housing committee. I could talk to Sue Breezy, who's this Jericho Select Board, planning commissioner who's coming to talk to the planning commission and hopefully the housing committee at the same time about what Jericho did in the affordable housing line. I think they bought some land or something, but and there might also be people in Heinsberg who have had better experiences with the affordable housing question or housing general question. So I'll do that. I'll talk to regional planning and Heinsberg and Sue Breezy and Miranda and Molly. And we could work on topics, you know, maybe if we could each come up with kind of an angle, then we could pass them around. So we're not all saying exactly the same thing, but we're saying different things.
mhm.
That would be helpful.
Okay,
I
so
don't know,
maybe
Keith, do you have any experience with this in your previous positions about how to drum up interest in this topic or what gets people thinking about it or?
Yeah, well, controversy, obviously, but typically the boards that I served in the past were compensated. So that was usually a driving force also. But I think a multi-pronged approach is correct in this case. You have a volunteer board. I mean, let's do the front porch forum and then you guys need to press the flesh, so to speak, and move it forward that way.
Mm. Mhm.
Yeah, I can, obviously we can put something on the website too, on the front page, but we already have that, to be honest with you.
Right.
It's also not a great time of year to try to solicit people because they are not thinking about staying indoors. But that's just a fact, and people will come out of the woodwork once they start, to be more amenable to going to meetings at night during the winter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll take us a little while to get this organized probably, so it'll be already winter by then. And we can write a letter to the editor of the Times Inc., which I'll be happy to do at some point.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about the Times thing too, and I need to not do that.
Yeah, it is out there. Its deadlines are kind of weird, I mean, they're way ahead of when your stuff is going to appear. So that actually, Keith, would be a handy thing for you to have is a list of the deadlines of the Times Inc. So that whenever it comes up in any of these conversations, like if we want it in September or in November, here's the deadline for that issue that like will be before the election or whatever.
Yeah, we don't use that at all, to be honest with you. It's 7 days or the Burlington Free Press, but I just keep forgetting about it. I mean, I know Heidi personally, so I just need to accept because that's a bi-monthly, I believe.
No, it's mostly monthly. Yeah, except a couple of editions are cover 2 months, but mostly it's a monthly paper.
Yeah, no, I'll look into that.
I actually have it right here. I wonder if there's
I think on their website they have the schedule.
Their website does not have the schedule. You have to look
Oh, it
at it
does?
in the print. Yes, it's extremely
Oh.
annoying. And they do it ahead of time.
Yeah,
So
the
then,
next issue is September 14th and the deadline's August 31st.
exactly.
So the end of this month for the 14th, September 14th issue.
So we got a week to get something in the September, which wouldn't be hard just to put a blurb out there. And Heidi's really good about fitting stuff in if she's not overwhelmed with material.
Well, I can't do anything by the 31st in that line, so.
Okay,
But I could
Um,
do it for the next one, which would be like
October
the
issue.
October issue, mid-September deadline sometime.
yep. End of
No,
September deadline, yep.
I do have a budget that I can access, if need be, because it's not gonna be free to post something in that. And
Oh,
allow it
yes,
to-
We can do a letter to the editor.
the editor.
That's fine, all right, but keep in mind, I do also have access to, in my budget, I have an advertising line in my budget.
That's great.
Okay.
Might get more attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
great.
right.
Well, I can type up some of the notes here and maybe we can put it to a little bit of a schedule, but I'd say, you know, if as you think of it, let's see if we can get maybe a couple posts in the front porch forum between now and our next meeting,
Mhm.
so that maybe hopefully we have some interest. And I just say like invite folks to come to the next meeting to, you know, meet and greet us or something like that if they want to learn more about what we do, or they can refer them to me. I'm happy to chat with them too.
Mhm.
And I'll reach out to Rachel Lahia and, we'll see who rises to the occasion.
I wonder if it would be useful to have the Jolena Court folks have like an ice cream social or something so people could see what multi-housing looks like. I don't know if that would be good or bad. But it was, I went to their opening, they had an open house in the beginning and I went to that and it was really quite interesting to, look at the ground floor where the commercial space was going to be and look at the apartments and look at the fact that there weren't any closets in the studio apartments and thinking, oh, we should be permitting more self-storage in Richmond because there are no closets in these apartments.
Oh my gosh.
But I don't know if that would put people off multifamily housing or anyway. They
do,
they are having a new building that, I mean, they got the permits for the new building, whether the new building, when it will be built, I don't know. Are the permits actually finalized? They are, aren't they?
The permits aren't, but the DRB has approved it with conditions.
Yeah, okay. They don't have an Act 250 permit yet, I don't think.
Correct.
So that's another step that they have to go through, so.
They're not close to even breaking ground at this point. I wouldn't expect that until summer of next year.
Right.
And I think that's liberal.
You think that's what?
Liberal.
Time-wise. Yeah, well, at that point, I suppose, when their permits were all in line and they wanted to break ground on it, that would be a good time for them to have some kind of event.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we could get together with them and have some kind of event because they're now going to have 31 new apartments that they would like people to be interested in living in. So,
yeah, it would be the big project in Richmond, right?
right.
Big apartment building.
I mean, it would be kind of fun to have like a little tour of the multi-family housing situations that we have, like the little fourplex that's at the corner of Farr Road and the Huntington Road. That everybody always likes that when you talk about that little condo, that bunch of 4 condos, you know the one I mean? It's brick, I think, looking. Anyway, it's
across from Stone Corral.
across Farr Road from the Stone Corral.
Yeah.
On that corner, that little building, there's that one. And then there's the 9 unit that's on East Main Street that had, it's like the 3rd building in from the traffic light on East Main. You go down a long driveway and there's this little 9 unit there, which is very personable, I would say. So I don't know if that would be of interest to people.
And don't forget the Jonesville units that are out there.
The Jonesville units.
Yeah, and there's a fourplex out there that's basically right on the road. So
Is it appealing looking?
no, it's not.
Oh, well, I think we need places that are attractive and
Inspire confidence and all that. Yes, I agree. I agree.
to make people think, oh, the missing middle, we need these little fourplexes and nineplexes, and even the nineplex that's on Far Road, right next to that little fourplex on the corner. There's a nineplex. You can't see it pretty much in the summer. You go up a long driveway. I don't think it's very attractive, but it's very hidden, and the front of it is very, like screened and everything in the summer anyway. But anyway, I'll think about that a little more and see if I could work up some kind of angle on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Would that be like, it wouldn't be really an open house. I mean, different people own those units, right? So
Yeah, no, it would be like a garden tour, and you'd have to get permission from the owners of those places and try to see if there was any interest in anybody doing that, actually doing it. I don't know.
or at least what it could look like, right? And dispel some of the they're ugly and they're attracting people that are not going to keep the place clean, and there's lots of cars in the driveway and things like that, right?
Yeah, we need to kind of get around that stereotype.
Yeah.
Another person I was thinking of that I had actually been thinking of asking him if he wanted to be on the planning commission is Matt Parisi, who has been interested. He's a developer. And Andrew Powers, even, maybe I could talk to them. They're on the development side of things.
Okay.
Maybe they'd be interested in promoting development. I don't know. You have to be careful what you wish for. But anyway.
I mean, I think we want both sides, right? I mean, that's
totally. We want both sides. What we really want is people who are kind of interested in the topic, in the housing, who are interested in housing. People who build housing are often more interested in housing than people who live here and don't want any more housing.
And they can speak to it in a intelligent way, right? Like, what's the real nuts and bolts on how to make this happen and a win-win for all parties involved, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty invaluable in a way talking to the Jolena Court folks about density bonuses for making some units affordable, basically, which was there's no way that that's going to fly, But I mean, that's the kind of thing that we know. Heinsberg also says that, the planning director in Heinsberg is like, well, we put in these density bonuses and they don't work very well. But, that's the kind of thing we want to know so that we're not spinning our wheels.
Okay. Well, I think we have a lot of ideas there, and we'll reconvene when we reconvene next month to talk about our progress that we've made on recruitment, and maybe we'll have a couple of new faces then. So kind of we can add that to our notes for next meeting too.
Yeah, follow up on recruitment.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, should we move to our next item, finalizing the recommendations to the Selectboard, affordable housing?
I can pull that up, or I believe you have a one of the copies of the PowerPoint too, Mark. How do you want to do that?
Yeah, I can.
I have mine in front of me. Virginia, do you have it?
I have the text version in paper.
Oh, Mark sent it by email, I think, yesterday.
Right. Well, I probably have it somewhere.
Well, it's on the screen, so we're good.
Okay,
I was
great.
being proactive here and shared it
Yes,
yesterday prior to the meeting.
great.
Um,
I've
so
been up to my eyebrows in visiting children, so, but
You'll sleep well.
yes.
can everyone see the PowerPoint here?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So there's no track changes here, but I took a look at the feedback that you had shared, Virginia, and what you and Keith had worked on, and then obviously Keith, you put this into the deck, and then earlier this week I just helped clean up some things. I didn't really change anything, I think, from a substantive level, but I don't know, Connie, where you have been in terms of, or where you are in terms of catching up on the changes, or if you had a chance to look at this prior to the meeting.
I didn't, so I'm looking at it now. I mean,
Okay.
it does look completely familiar, so it's not like
Yep.
it's strange, but it's good.
So yeah, talking about the goal from building homes together, and then what do some of the larger affordable housing developers look for, right? And how we structured this deck.
Was that slide one? Are we calling that slide one?
This would be
The
two.
first one that you showed is slide, oh, that's slide one. Okay.
Slide one. Yeah.
So it was slide two that, okay, that has what the needs of the big developers are.
Yeah.
Because I think that's referred to somewhere else, that it's on slide two.
Okay.
Okay, great.
And I think Keith, maybe I saw in your notes or Virginia's, maybe you're renaming this to something different. Do we want to?
Yeah, it's totally up to you guys what you want to do with that. I mean, it's pretty generic.
Yeah.
You want to put an affordable house picture on there, or you want to make it a little bit more intriguing or something along those lines. It's just pretty generic.
Does the town have a PowerPoint template
A
that
what?
people use? Like a template, like with a header or footer or anything for
Yes,
slides?
yes.
They
Town
do?
does have one.
For like the round, you mean like the round church or something? Because that's our brand.
Well, I didn't know if they have a template that they use for any PowerPoint that is made within the town, just to have it branded as.
I don't think so. How about a picture like a sky view, a bird's eye view of Borden Street in there? I don't know, just as an affordable housing site, a picture of Borden Street, or
Which one's Borden Street?
Borden Street is an affordable housing project that was
Oh,
created.
the one by at the end of Railroad.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's not a potential affordable housing site, but
It's existing.
it's an existing affordable housing site. So, okay, this is a picture of Borden Street, which was a successful affordable housing project in Richmond.
And it's attractive.
In a floodplain.
Did it get flooded?
Yeah.
Was it get flooded pretty
No.
severely?
It
No.
didn't
It
get
was-
flooded this time.
Yep.
Just Esplanade.
Aren't they're doing something with stormwater, aren't they, Keith? There's some,
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did it without a permit, and they're going through the machinations of making Tyler happy, which is always important.
right. What else? What else could we put in that would personalize it to Richmond?
I mean, we can get the Round Church logo in there. I can put it in the corner somewhere just to make it.
Sure, that it's Richmond. It has nothing to do with affordable housing, but it's got a
Right.
Richmond theme to it.
Fantastic.
You could put a picture of the like one of the multi-unit developments, like the 9-unit on East Main Street or something. How about a picture of that? Or just something to do with multi-unit housing, because multi-unit housing, you're going to have it probably for it to be affordable. So the Borden Street duplexes are probably not financially feasible at this point. So maybe, I don't know, maybe that's not a good
Okay,
one.
we could also do the Jolena Court picture. I mean, those are nice buildings.
Mm-hmm. And Jolena Court is one of our things on our list, so.
Sure.
Yeah, that, I think that might work best.
Okay. So yeah, again, slide 2, looking at what some of the affordable housing developers look for. And this is the criteria we use to evaluate the parcels, land parcels that we include in this study, this report. And maybe alternatives for smaller scale projects, habitat community, other grant programs, see the scope of our research.
So there for that second bullet, I've noticed that there's 2 more areas that have been added, which I'm glad to see. They're just new to me. Do you want to list underneath the second bullet just the names of the 4 areas so they know what you're talking about as they look at it? So it'll be just like you titled them Willis Farm Gateway, Jolena Court, Buttermilk, each one just in the same, and then list the 2 in the underneath that one. I think that helps people understand what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And actually, you could leave out the word following, because I think since we have these extra 2, you should say the 4 areas were assessed for their potential and 2 areas were suggested by the housing consultant.
So start with the number word.
Yeah, start
4.
with 4 areas, yeah.
And 2 areas.
And then 2 areas, yeah, perfect.
Go.
Okay. So getting into the areas, I just made a different column for our key here.
Yeah.
So this kind of cleaned it up a little bit.
And I'm fine with the checks in green, but I couldn't find out where is that in Word. Where are green checks? How do you make green checks in Word?
Like a check mark?
Yeah, that's what you had originally.
Go up
Oh,
to,
like in here.
You just change the color.
No, not a plus sign, but a check mark. I mean,
so
I think it's fine with them being red for no.
go to symbol on that
But
top
there was
row, farther to the right, to the right, to the right. No, you're on the right menu. Just go farther to the right. Yes. See, there's the word symbol there. Keep going. Right, to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. You're almost there. Keep going there.
symbol.
I'll get there.
Oh, okay.
And then this is the
Symbol.
scroll bar where you can go up and down and you can find a check.
Okay, there's a check mark in there somewhere. I thought I looked in there and I couldn't see any check marks.
Well, maybe not. It depends on the version you have.
And then I hovered with my mouse over one of those check marks and it seemed to be suggesting a font
That's
that I also then couldn't find the check mark. So that's the only reason that I went to pluses and minuses, is when I was working on this, I just couldn't get those check marks. I'm perfectly fine with them if you want to put check marks. Anyway. Oh my gosh. Where are you
there
now?
you go.
How about that?
It may or may
Stock-
not be green.
Stock images, where are you, what
That was
menu is
from-
that?
It was an insert and then icon.
Insert icons right here. The little, for me, it's a doc.
Icons.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I should be able
Insert
to
icon.
make it
Okay.
the same.
Well, whichever one you like is fine. I don't really care. The green is good if it's either a plus or a check mark if it's a good result on
There
their
you go.
test.
There you go.
And an
Wait.
X or a negative is fine if it's a bad result on their test. But
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, I can clean those up. I do like check marks better than.
yeah, you go for it. I have no problem with check marks now that I know where they are. If I can remember next time where to find them.
Just email me and I'll tell you.
Okay, good. Great.
I looked through these slides and I had a particular question on the one related to Brown's Court. We can move through
Okay.
them at a time, but I was wanting to follow up on a question that was raised when we talked about Brown's Court with the neighborhood. And there was a question about when this gift was given, was it restricted in some way?
It was not. I did research on that when that question was asked, and there is no restriction on it.
Okay, that's good to know and might be hard to
Put that-
communicate.
We put that in here somewhere.
No, I don't think it's in there because it's not relevant.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
Well, I was
I-
gonna say, should we put it in there?
Oh, should we put it in there?
What?
I don't know that we should. I mean, why should we? There's no restriction on it.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
thing when I was going through this and making comments about it is that I really wanted to get rid of items that said further research is needed,
Hmm,
because I don't want us to be asked as a
Mhm.
result of this document to do further research on these items. You know,
Right.
we want to be able to tell the select board that we are unsuccessful in finding one of these to be a suitable site. So anytime it says, like for Willis Farm, I think it said further discussion with the owner was needed. That was what, Mark, you had originally?
Yeah.
We don't want to discuss this anymore with the REAPs. They don't want it. You know, I mean, and I don't want the select board to say, well, your next step should be go back and talk some more to the REAPs. Or even the FARs necessarily. I mean, there are some, like the mobile home court, which seems, the mobile home park, which seems like probably our best bet at the moment, actually. You know, we could talk some to Peter Brown because he is interested. We know he's interested. He's planning or thinking about putting in more units. How can we help him? Or, you know, that one, I think we can talk more to him. But the Willis Farm people, the REAPs, the FARs, we can't go and talk to them more, especially the three of us in our committee. We can't, unless there's some commitment by the select board. I don't think we want to be told by the select board that we need to go and talk to them more. So that's why I took out some of those phrases that say more talking to the owners.
Would for the Riverview Commons, could there be a possibility where they put up instead of more mobile homes, they put in a building?
Yeah, well,
Like
that
a
would be
multi-unit building.
way more efficient use of land.
Right.
We would have to change the zoning. I don't think in the mobile home park district we have as a possible use multi-family housing, but Brandy Saxton said this is very low density housing. You know, even if you put in an additional 65 to 85 units, you only go to 2 units per acre. You know, this could be way more efficiently done. Whether he has any interest at all in putting up multi-unit buildings, I don't know. He's only ever
Is it this land that's
spoken.
like on the other side of the power? I'm assuming these are power lines right here. Is it that land on the other side of the power lines? I don't
Yes.
know. That he
Yeah.
owns.
Yeah, he owns that. He owns it all the way up through Jericho, actually.
Okay.
My understanding. I saw the plan a couple of years ago, and it was, you know, it's a mobile home park. You know, it's just an
Yep.
expansion of a mobile home park, and he does have a clubhouse in the middle of it.
Okay.
I'm trying to get oriented to this map. Where's River Road?
It's kind of cut off down here. I think it's down here, right?
Okay,
Yes.
where's Governor Peck?
This is Governor Peck right here,
That's Governor Peck. Okay, I understand what I'm looking at now. Okay.
right? I think that's how it works. That's Jericho up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yep.
You
Got
it.
it. Thank you.
So in the lower left-hand corner is where the mobile home park roads
Yeah.
are down
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
Summer Street and all that.
Yep.
Isn't there another mobile home park out towards Jonesville? Am I making that up?
Yeah, it's pretty small though, and it's
Okay.
just before you get there. No, I don't think it's a mobile home park though. It's
Just
there's
mobile homes. There's some mobile homes on lots, right?
Okay.
and then I
I
think there's a couple duplexes out there too. It's before you get there. It's by LaBounty, across from LaBounty Lane, that area.
Mm-hmm. Perpetual Lane, that area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this is the only mobile home park that we have in Richmond.
Okay.
That is in the mobile home park district, which is defined by the mobile home park. Pretty much. I think there are a couple of separate lots in the mobile home park. Do you know that, Keith? I think maybe there's a couple of
There might be
lots in
some
there
out.
that, yeah,
Yeah,
like the manager, I think, lived at one point when it was Steve Levesque or one of the Levesques lived in a separate house, like on a separate lot. But anyway, we need to look at that district. I mean, as part of our updating of the zoning, and especially if we're going to pursue this as an affordable housing potential, one of the things is definitely to look at the zoning. I don't know what we say here about the zoning. Oh, yeah, it says we would need zoning changes, I
For
think.
which one? Riverview Commons?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Riverview
For
Commons.
4 units per acre,
Right.
1 unit per acre for non-park lots in the district, which would need to change to 5 units per acre. Rezoning would be needed for greater density. So if we were to put a apartment unit out there or
Yeah,
multi-unit, then we need to rezone.
you can do PUDs also.
PUD, yeah. Needs work. PUD section, various reasons needs to be worked on, but
And
and
then
I didn't know whether for the one we were just looking at, Riverview Commons, I think we were just looking at.
Yep.
And this one also, there are some boxes that I didn't put either a plus or a minus, I mean an X or a check,
oh right.
Right.
because I didn't know whether to think it was a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it's unclear whether, like right now, it might not be suitable, but you might be able to do it if you made the changes. Owner interest, I guess, gets a green check because the owner, at least on Riverview Commons, has expressed an interest in putting up more units.
This would probably be an X because it's, we need to rezone, so it's not currently ready.
Right, it's kind of an X. And for most of these, for neighborhood support, where you said more research is necessary, I took that away and just put unknown because I'm not sure that we necessarily want to do more research. If they say, oh, more research is necessary, well, you better go do more research on that, which is, finding out neighborhood interest is a big task. You know, it's not like something you can ascertain in a moment. You gotta talk to the neighbors and do all kinds of,
I mean, obviously Brown's Court was unique because all the neighbors spoke, right?
yeah, that one was,
Very
it was
site-
great.
site-
We had the neighborhood support, which was non-existent in Brown's Court, but, you know, yeah.
And then Railroad Street, I'm assuming it would be this wooded area here.
That is correct.
And is that in floodplain?
That is not.
That is
So
not,
what
okay.
it's a commercial subdivision. That's not showing up on there because it's left as open land for tax purposes, so it hasn't, it's been filed, everything's set and legal. But the lines have not been put on. This is CCR. Now, what is this? No, this is the Atlas. So this is the A&R Atlas. But with that said, it's a commercial, so I'm not sure what would need to happen from a zoning perspective. Virginia, what do you have on there? Would need zoning changes for density and uses, yeah.
So currently it doesn't look like it's allowed for residential uses currently, and that would need to be turned into residential use if that was the direction. Is that
Correct,
where they
except
wanted to-
possibly by the PUD process, but the owner of that, Dan Noyes, has expressed a disinterest in having it be residential, but we do really need to talk to him. The planning commission is going to have to talk to him. We're going to have him come in and talk about whether he really finds it in his own best interest not to have a residential use allowed. It's hard to believe that that is the case, that he would not like to have some ground floor commercial and upper floor residential.
Yeah.
As an option. He has said he doesn't want that, but we need to take some pictures to him of some places that have nice ground floor commercial and upper floor residential.
Is
We
that
need
where
to
they
make-
wanted to put the Richmond Market? Like, didn't the Richmond Market want to move?
The Richmond Market is going to move, but it's not going to be there. It's going to be on the near side of the rescue building.
Right there,
Okay.
yeah.
So where that driveway is.
Yeah, where the lumber and the compost or whatever mulch is, all of that stuff.
It's
That's
two
where the
lots.
market
Okay.
is
So are
going,
they-
and they're permitted and everything.
When is that
They're
supposed to
waiting.
start? Do we know?
They're waiting for money, I believe.
And where the hardware store then reduced its footprint in terms of, because that's their lots right there, right? Or some of that is their lot.
That is, so the plan is the two lots that are there, the lumber yard and to the right of the lumber yard. Is part of that's combining of those lots. But the store would stay. He's getting out of the lumber business, at least that's what he stated 2 years ago. So but True Value would stay.
Got it. Good. We
And
need it.
he would then own also the current market building, which is where he originally had his lumber before he turned that into the market. But if he's getting out of the lumber business, he might want to, rent that building out for something else or what?
Affordable. Turn it into affordable housing.
Turn it into affordable units. There you go.
Mhm.
That could be
We
great.
got a box.
Yeah, maybe a couple of lawyers' offices thrown in there on the ground floor. We need more lawyers.
Yes, of course we do.
Just kidding. But anyway,
Okay.
um,
Well,
so-
I'll make a couple of quick updates then to the check boxes, check marks and pluses and whatnot.
yeah,
Do we want to just look at the conclusions here and next
Yeah.
steps?
yeah,
So saying, right, Champlain Housing, Cathedral Square, a lot of their requirements don't fit with what we currently have available here in Richmond. Limited
In the
open
water
space.
and sewer district, yeah, they don't,
Yeah.
it's not suitable.
Well, large enough, most likely to increase supply of affordable housing from these options.
Yeah, I think the thing that they're going to get, that they're probably not expecting, is that, you know, the town, in order for this to realize, this come to a realization, is that they're going to have to pony up some type of incentivization or purchase land. That's really what's going to need to happen. I don't see the town getting into the business of managing it, though. But to incentivize is definitely the push.
Mark, would you spell out AH? When we all know what it is, but
Yeah, put
it's
affordable housing in there.
um,
That is one message that I think the select board should get. And the other one is that we cannot undertake vast new initiatives, just the three of us. This is not possible. So one of our goals in the short term is to increase our membership. But the select board needs to know that we can't go out there and be interviewing all the neighbors of this initiative, and, you know, it's not possible. So somebody's going to have to generate some interest in this subject in Richmond if we're going to really make progress. Either the select board is going to have to generate interest by making incentives or something.
yeah, you don't join the housing committee thinking that you're going to donate your time, even if we're a committee of 10, which we're not going to be likely, of trying to do another job. In other words, this is a volunteer position to help make good policy decisions or recommendations, actually, so that the town can be the town we all want to live in, which is great. But well, like when I was getting my haircut at Bridge Street Hair last time, Denise was telling me, and of course Denise has lots and lots of opinions about everything, which is great. She was saying, oh, there's a house on West Main Street that the families, the children who inherited that house from their parents are bickering about what to do about it. And it's the last house on the right before you go down the hill. It looks like it's completely unlived in and it's kind of overgrown. And she said, you know, someone should go talk with them. And I'm like, well, who's got the authority to do that? I mean, I can't just, you know, it isn't hard to find who owns it and what the address of that person is, but what exactly is the process for saying to anyone, hey, want to think of like turning your land into more housing? So I'm like, you know, people have lots of great ideas, and housing committee members can come up with ideas like that or find them, but we don't have the knowledge or skills necessarily to say, oh, let's go research that and figure out what the right thing is to do on behalf of the town. You know, I don't have those skills. Even if I had more people like me on this committee, that we still wouldn't have the skills. So, you know, if you got a developer on the committee, then you'd have a committee with people with a very particular point of view, with a particular goal in mind too. So yeah, as you said, you have to watch what you're asking for. You want a balanced committee perspective, but I think we're the do-it body. Exactly. Not for that.
So who is that do-it body in other towns?
Well, I think it depends. The select board has to be interested in, and the select board has to, you know, Connie, in the scenario that you were talking about, the select board would have to sign off on it. You know, it would be something I think the housing committee would recommend to the select board, and the select board would have to give us permission to go and, you know, negotiate. I don't know. I mean, the planning commissions in some towns may do this. The planning people may do this. Does Alex Weinhagen, do you know Keith in Heinsberg, does he do those kinds of things with permission from the select board to go and?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But it definitely takes champions. You know, it takes people who really are going after this stuff, I think, and then it has to go through the select board. We have to have the permission of the select board to do these things.
Somebody did it in Heinsberg. Don't they have that big affordable housing project based on donated land?
Yes, somebody donated land. How they got that, I don't know. Maybe that would be an interesting talk to hear. How did, you know, why do you have donated land? Why did somebody donate land to you to put an affordable housing project?
Well, I assume we could, I mean, we've got one person from Richmond who wants to come talk to us, Gary Bresser. I think we could also ask someone from Heinsberg, like the planner, to come and talk to us and, you know, tell us what their story is, maybe more particularly not about what they accomplished in the end, but how did they go about it? What was the process? What are the steps? The reason I say this is that when there was a piece of property for sale, those little sort of apartment sized units near the our traffic light corner, it was for sale, on sale for a few moments at least. And I reached out to Jay Furr and said, is the town interested in using ARPA funds to purchase property for housing? And he said, we could do it. How much do they want for it? And by then it was gone. So there's at least some interest in the select board of saying we need to put available funds into the things that are important for our community's growth and development. And it doesn't all go to the volunteer green, you know, and Browns Court development.
Right. Yeah, well, it needs a plan in advance, you know, because either we have to set up a fund like the Conservation Reserve Fund, you know, maybe we could have a housing reserve fund, which would be, or we could be, you know, have a bonding set up in place so that we could be flexible, you know, so that we could act in a minute. Like I had the same kind of thought about the Gifford Funeral Home property, which has been bought and is being developed with a business on the bottom and 4 apartments on the top. Very good, all very nice. I had thought maybe that would be a way to have an additional road through the village since we have such limited traffic. But, you know, all of that takes a lot of work in advance. You have to be ready to act on a dime to get those properties. You have to say, this is our plan, you know, we want to buy this particular property. If it comes up, here's where we're going to pay for it. You know, here's how we're going to do it. And probably the Planning Commission should do that, but the Planning Commission is not overactive at the moment either. So we're sort of struggling to deal with the things that we have to deal with without being able to be that far ahead of the curve.
Well, that's a different kind of recommendation to make to the select board, which is, do you want to be able to take action easily on an opportunity that comes up related to housing? Because building that capacity up is a requirement before you actually get to do it. And Heinsberg or other people might tell us what they did, but the select board, our select board, has to decide we want to be able to do that, and even potentially say we want to put some money aside to support that in the future when we have the opportunity to do so. It's a different kind of recommendation, but if we don't have to say very much here to open the doorway to that conversation. And if we don't raise it, then it's always oh, there goes another opportunity. And what fun is that? You know, that's not going to get us anywhere.
Do I see that as a conclusion, another conclusion here, like needing
systems need to be built in order for that to happen to a certain extent.
Yeah, select board.
Yeah, so I mean, your number 6, lack of incentivation. The number 6 relates to the select board, what they are going to need to do. So not only is there a lack of an incentivization, there's a lack of capacity to seize opportunities. To act, to purchase housing, to purchase land.
So capacity to act.
Yeah, there's a lack of capacity to act. There's a lack of, we might need a housing fund of some kind. We might need to build a housing fund. Who's going to decide whether we need to build a housing fund? Well, the select board is going to have to show some interest in it. I mean, all we're saying here is we're not saying necessarily even that we recommend it, but we're saying that we don't have it.
Right.
Something like that. Does that sound
Yeah.
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah, I'd almost like to get in the idea of building capacity to act, funds, systems and funds in place to seize quickly on opportunities.
Yeah. Systems and funds, why not? Lack of capacity to act, lack of systems and funds in place to seize opportunities to increase housing when opportunities arise. Or
Place to for housing, place to seize on housing.
Funds
seize,
in place to
seize opportunities to increase housing, or
seize opportunities to increase housing.
that kind of covers all kinds of housing.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, and it's not always just affordable housing, it's just housing in general, right?
It's housing in general. I mean, there might be other housing opportunities that would be useful also.
So it's not a sentence the way the others are a sentence. So I want to like name the select board, and maybe turn it into something positive as opposed to a negative. So Richmond Select Board would need to incentivize development, build capacity to act, provide systems and funds to seize opportunities. Richmond Select Board would need, what did I say?
To incentivize development.
Create incentives for development. You can keep going with that. Create incentives for development.
Sorry. A little overreactive here.
It's okay. Incentives for development.
And develop the capacity to act, or the systems and funds. I don't know if how about develop or establish
a process for action or systems for action. You could say that. Systems for to take action and funds for support of opportunities to increase housing.
Or establish systems and funds to take action. That might be work.
Systems and funds to take action on opportunities to increase housing. I almost want to take out the word would and say needs. Like, this is not conditional. This is like, you got to do this, buddies, you know.
And, this is in Brandy's report also.
Yeah.
When I reread Brandy's report, it's like, well, first of all, you have to get rid of NIMBY and go to YIMBY.
Yeah.
You've got to interest people in having more housing. This is a basic impediment that you have to doing any of this work, is that people aren't interested in it. And these kinds of things, like the select board needs to incentivize it. So it's there. They got the report. We all got the report. We kind of, I read it, but I didn't think of it again until I was rereading this information, that a lot of this information is in her report. That's what she said. And that's part of the reason that I want to along with this affordable housing report, is send that list of things that we did to the select board, which I think I sent to you people, is just to show them that we aren't just making this up, but here's what we have done. And we got this report. And oh, by the way, this report reinforces these conclusions that we have. So we can go back and reread this report again and get the same answer that we're getting here. So, yeah,
Does it
so I
make-
think this is good.
Does it make sense to put that list in here? In the deck somewhere?
No, I think it should be a separate thing that we give to the select board. Along with our affordable housing report is a summary of what this committee has done. It could go with the charge. It could, you could have the charge document, you could have, let's give them some reading material. The charge document, you've got this 1-page list of things we've done, including this report from Brandy Saxton. We did the demographic report. We did, there have been these other things that we have done. So even though we have failed to find an affordable housing project, we have done these other things which have highlighted some of these other points.
So in number 4 on this slide, I would reiterate the 6th point from the previous page. It sort of says that, but it doesn't say as much as what we just recently put on slide 10. Does that make sense, Mark? It's an echo of the same thing. And select board needs to, oh, by the way, select board is capitalized. It's the name of a entity.
Select.
Yeah,
It's
on
one-
the previous page.
Is it one word, Connie? Select board is one word?
Oh, I think so. Let's say that it is, and I'll go
Yeah.
look at it real quickly. Don't worry about it. But it was not capitalized on slide 10.
Oh. And if it's one word, then we need to do that. Okay,
Yeah, one word,
there we go.
capitalized.
So, I mean, either we could just remove number 6 from conclusions and put it in here with number 4, or
I'd say keep it.
do you want it repeated twice, Connie, you think?
Absolutely.
Okay. So at the end of identifying and purchasing land, comma, as mentioned in number 6 above in conclusions or something, I don't know. That's fine, the way it is, it's good. They need to know that they need to get serious about it, I guess, and that we are not the people who are able to do this right now.
Right.
Well, I think this is in a good place. Do we have an idea of when this might take place? When we might be invited to the select board?
Well, we would have to tell Josh, by way of Keith, I would say, that the housing committee would like to appear at some point in front of the select board to present these 3 documents. So the documents should be totally finalized. Keith will have them. Keith will give them to Josh and say the housing committee wishes to come to present these documents. How much time would we like? I don't know. How much time can we have? Half an hour, Keith, you think is?
Yeah. I'd ask for 30 minutes. And they meet twice a month plus special times, but the first and third Monday of each month, unless there's a holiday.
Yeah, and Josh will have to figure it into his incredibly elaborate scheduling process, what needs to absolutely happen. And, this obviously is not crucial that it happen like at the next meeting.
Right.
So
Yep.
Right.
sometime in the next couple of months, we need to make this presentation to you. And here are the documents. They're all done. So Mark, if you could finalize everything exactly how it's going to go to them, send it to us, and we'll totally sign off. I mean, I'm signing off on it the way it is now, but just show us the way it's going to go, and then it should go to Keith, and Keith can take it to Josh and say, we want half an hour of your time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, I know we're at time here because you 2 need to run, right? It's the next. next meeting. Any quick updates from Planning Commission? Anything we need to know?
So we're in the process of working S100, now called Act 47, into the zoning. And we've had this series of meetings. We've got one more where we're talking in general and trying to come to some conclusion about how we're going to incorporate it. And we're now looking at some other documents, some guidance documents, so that's going to help us. And then we're going to have the village neighborhood people come in because they're the ones who are principally affected. S100 relates to water and sewer districts where there is housing. So they're going to be the ones who are affected by the fact that you have to have now multifamily housing, 3 and 4 unit buildings be permitted, and you have to have a density of 5 units per acre. So when Keith and I and the Planning Commission have figured out exactly for each of these points how we're going to put it into the zoning, then we will send it to you. And, you know, this is another place where the Housing Committee can be useful in public support, you know, in supporting putting multifamily units in. Not that you exactly need to be supportive, because if we have to do it, it's mandated by this new law. So, so I'll send it to you, and then we can be informed and talk about it a little bit at some point on a future agenda. We're maybe not quite there yet. There's some things that are still
Yeah,
a
we
little
still
bit
got
up in the air.
3 of those items next meeting on Act 47. And, yeah, but we're off and running on the neighborhood, so that's great.
Yep. And then the other thing we've been working on is this project up in the industrial commercial area. Some people want to put housing up there, and we're trying to figure out how to allow that housing to happen in the industrial commercial, which hasn't really allowed housing, but there's a lot of housing that pre-existed the industrial commercial district. So how can we reconcile those things? You know, how can we allow this housing? These people want to put housing. We're pro-housing, right? We want more housing. So how are we going to do that? And, you know, are we going to allow housing in that district? There are some people who think we should keep it for commercial uses, but what are the commercial uses? You know, this would just be giving people more options. Some people feel that then it would all become housing and there would be no commercial district. So those are the kind of issues that we're grappling with there. That's up there. And so if you hear us talking about the Beals project, they're the name of the folks who want to build this house on the parents' lot, which is in the industrial commercial district. And, you know, maybe when we have a little more time and we've got these other things, you know, we've done the select board thing, maybe we can all, the 3 of us can talk about that project and how, you know, how we can get support to allow housing in that area, which seems pretty reasonable to me, but there are some hindrances. So those are the 2 things that we've been working on.
Sounds great.
Great.
Thanks, Virginia.
Yeah,
Appreciate
both related to housing.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, just wrapping up here. I think I have Gary Bresser coming next meeting in September, in addition to us talking through an update on membership recruitment. So those are the 2 items on the agenda right now.
Okay, and that's the 27th, right?
That's right.
September 27th? Okay.
So I am pushing to get that report to the select board ASAP. Obviously, it's not going to be the first week in September. But I really want to get this check mark taken care of and off of our plate. And fantastic tonight. I think we're set.
Yep.
Once it gets cleaned up and you send it to me, and I'll talk to Josh tomorrow, at least give him a heads up. I'm out on vacation for the next 2 weeks after this. But you know,
Okay.
it's probably more realistically, folks, that it'll be in October. as opposed to September, but,
Yep.
yeah, I'm just looking to get a check mark.
Okay.
So I would like to make a motion that we approve the document report on affordable housing for select board as finalized by Mark and take it to the select board along with the new charge sheet and the list of the accomplished activities of the housing committee. I would like to make that motion. So it's official that we are voting for this and we're all in agreement that this is what's going to happen, that these are the documents and this is what's going to happen.
Seconded.
Yep. And I approve. or
Okay.
agree. Yep. Okay. I'll clean this up and share it around, and then we can go from there.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, it's 6:58, and I adjourn the Richmond Housing Committee meeting. Have a
Great.
good
Great.
one.
Thank you
Thank you
so
all.
much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good
Have a
night.
great one.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.